Two, one. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the TNR Sports Show. My name's Trennon. That's Ryan. Say what's up, Ryan.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
We got it coming to you today. I'm very excited about this episode. Me and Ryan did a lot of research. Also did some research, not as much as him, but we did a lot. I'm pretty excited, pretty pumped about the episode. We're coming to you with a Clemson spring game breakdown.
Oh
Clemson
yeah,
spring game breakdown. But before we get into it, I just want to say again, like always, like, comment, subscribe. Thanks to all you who watch. I appreciate it. Keep liking, commenting, subscribing, sharing. Support our content that we're doing here. We're doing a lot of good things. We want to spread it to the world. Keep supporting us. Keep giving us that motivation to come every Wednesday night and every other night we record to keep motivating us, pumping us up, building the brand. You know how it is. So I just wanted to say thanks. Keep doing what you're doing. Let's talk a little Clemson Tigers. Brian,
do
get
it. Alrighty. So, the spring game. A lot. So a lot of the 6-year players. I think we kind of talked before the show, like Skalski, Nolan Turner. They did not play. And some of the bigger stars, like Justin Ross, did also not play because he's still recovering from his injury, so he's not ready for full contact just yet. Um, So there were a few stars missing, and some of the starters who we know are going to be the starters didn't fully play. So that's just something to note as we go into it. However, um, the game started out really fast, honestly. The Orange team, which DJ Uyunglele was on, started really fast. Kobe Pace, I love his name, Kobe Pace.
at the
Uh,
pace.
yeah, we can start yelling Kobe.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
All right. Kobe and Pace. Great name.
he's fast.
Yeah.
But he had a great first drive. He had 50 yards on the first drive rushing. And then DJ threw the one and only his one and only touchdown pass to his former high school teammate, Bo Collins, who's a true freshman wide receiver this year. He was the number 3 wide receiver last year, but I thought it was really cool that DJ's first pass as a starter is to his former high school teammate who he had a big connection with, obviously.
Oh, that's not completely. He did start against Notre Dame.
But, but
Technically,
he's the
as
full
like as
time starter.
as the man. Yeah, it's correct.
Yeah,
DJ.
he's the man now. It's no
Got
longer Trevor.
that's right. That's right.
Yeah. So you're correct though. You're correct.
Thank you. Thank you.
But yeah, DJ threw a 19-yard touchdown pass to Bo Collins to get the game started on the very first drive. After that, it turned into a defensive struggle. It was let me see. I think the next score was yeah, it was about like 30 seconds left on the clock in the second half.
Wow.
Uh, Potter, the kicker,
In the second
and,
quarter,
Potter.
and you said second half, second quarter, right?
Yeah, second quarter. Sorry, going into the second half. Our kicker Potter hit a 54-yard field goal, pretty much to end the first half. And so that was, I mean, honestly, the white team looked a little off in the first half. Really, besides that touchdown that DJ threw to Bo Collins, the only other thing was um, the backup quarterback, or we assume the backup quarterback, is the backup quarterback, Tyson Pomachan. I had to look up his last name because that was a hard one to pronounce. But he threw one pick or one interception to Mickens on the Orange team,
Right.
and then he threw a second pick. So he threw an interception to Andrew Booth Jr. Um, it was an amazing one-handed interception. It was a beautiful interception. However, it was called back because they said he stepped out of bounds, but on further replay, he didn't step out of bounds, but they got the playoff. So it didn't officially count, I guess. It's a spring game, but
Right. Right. No real consequences either way, but yeah.
exactly. It should have counted. and it was an amazing interception. But Andrew Booth Jr. played incredible from the cornerback position. But yeah, the first half was just kind of, it was very slow. It was very the white team had nothing going. Pomish on the back quarterback was just not in rhythm. He's very much a dual threat guy, and he wasn't able to run because of the rules, which is pretty much two hand touch
Right.
for
For the
quarterbacks.
right.
Yeah, for quarterbacks, it's like two hand touch. Once you're not touched, you're out. It's a sack or whatever. So he couldn't run. And I think he threw some bad passes because of that. However, DJ had the one touchdown, and then they got a 2-minute drill to get the field goal at the end of the first half. Now, going in the second half, it was pretty much more the same thing from the white team. Just slow. They just couldn't get really anything together. DJ had a couple of good throws. I think he had one good run that almost got a first down on 3rd and 15. So he was actually able to escape a little bit of that two-hand touch stuff. And we also had some good running from Mafa on the white team. We had a lot of good running backs. A lot of good running. Lynn J. Dixon, who's projected to be the starter. He only had 5 runs for 25 yards. He played pretty well. He didn't play a whole lot. Then we had Kobe Pace. Kobe Pace played really well. He had 6 runs for 69 yards. Mafa played well. He had 6 runs for 38 yards and a touchdown. And then Shipley was kind of a highly touted recruit who came in, had a couple of good runs, but he ended the day with 6 runs for 13 yards, so not great. So a lot of good running back action, which was kind of cool to see that we have that much depth on running back. And then it was, I think the orange team got another field goal. So at one point they were up 13-0 over the white team, but then the white team kind of turned it on. Tyson, Pomachan, and Mafa, who we talked about just a second ago, they really picked it up. Pomachan started throwing it to one of our younger wide receivers out of Canada, Ajo. And Ajo had a breakout game. He had 6 catches for 102 yards and 1 touchdown. And Pomachan, started the comeback. He threw a beautiful touchdown pass to Ajo. And, they got the stop on defense and got the ball back and then drove right down the field again. Unfortunately, on that final drive, Pomachan got hurt. He tore his Achilles. Yeah, we'll talk about that in a little bit, but that's a huge injury. But anyways, Mafa came in, knocked in the final touchdown to win it, to get the lead at 14-13. DJ got the ball back with 1 minute and 59 seconds, so essentially 2 minutes left. And he honestly played very well in that situation, and his wide receivers let him down.
Yeah.
It was that 4th and 16 at one point, and I got the 4th and 16 because of the 2-hand touch rule. Honestly, he probably could have broken through some of those arm tackles that he got taken down for. But 4th and 16, he threw a pass, hit the wide receiver in the hands, would have been a first down, but Joseph Ngata dropped the ball, and that ended the game. The white team won a huge defensive battle, 14-13. Let's see, and then on the defensive MVP was actually Jake Venables, Brent Venables' son. He had 9 tackles, 1 sack, 1.5 tackles for a loss. And then on the white team, Jalen Phillips had 9 tackles and broke up the last pass of the game to secure the win. But yeah, it was a fun little game, a lot of defense, and then there was a lot of misgivings on the offensive line. I think there's still a lot of growth there. I know that was a weakness last year, so hopefully they'll continue to grow, see the weakness, fix it, and grow. But Trennon, what about you? Did you see any standout performances or anything that you saw that just really stuck out to you from this game?
I think overall they look good. I think defensively is where you could say the star
Yep.
shining. They missed a lot of, defensively they all played really well, and that's saying a lot, saying that some of Clemson's top players the 6 years weren't even playing. Skalski, who is arguably the best defensive player, and then Nolan Turner, who's really great too, didn't play. So I think overall you could look at it as a good defensive performance. I think kind of like I mean, it's a spring game. At the end of the day, Clemson could be the one or the couple teams in the country that you could argue has enough depth to pull off an adequate spring game. Um, but I'm looking at I pulled up the box score for the spring game, and I'm looking at it, man. Other than Nagata, I mean, you DJ really wasn't thrown at anybody great. Like Jalen Lay, I don't really know who that is. Will Sweeney, Drew Sweeney. Bo Collins had that one good play, but he was kind of quiet.
Yeah.
Um, so he didn't have a bunch of great targets out there. I think overall Kobe Pace had a great game. He had a long run of 26 yards. I think you kind of mentioned that. Um, I think overall, I looking at, I mean, how do you say that? Fomacha?
Yeah.
Fomacha, I mean, he had his 100, he was only what, 11 yards behind DJ. He threw
Yeah.
one interception technically. And then, I mean, I mean, they looked weak in the first half, but in the
Yeah.
second half, they really did kind of make a comeback to make
Yeah.
it
Once he got to the fourth quarter, he turned it on. He figured it out. It was just he just couldn't get it till the fourth.
right. And it does definitely seem from my opinion that they had the more accurate, they had some better running backs. I don't know. You could argue that Kobe Pace just had a good game, but I think Phil Maffa had a great game as well. He had his longest run was 18 yards. Ellen J. Dixon had a good game. I was impressed with him. I know he only had 4 carries.
He had a really good run.
Yeah, he had a long run for 21 yards.
Yeah.
I was pretty impressed with. So I was pretty. It looks like if you had to guess, like starting wide receivers, Aju, and Joseph Nagata, and probably Justin Ross will be up there. I
Yeah,
could see
Frank
definitely.
Latson probably too,
I could
but
see.
he wasn't playing.
I see Bo Collins. I know, maybe that one touchdown just impressed me so much, but I think you could definitely see him being like one of those freshman wide receiver standouts, come in, make a couple plays, and then in a couple years be like top brass of Clemson wide
Yeah.
receivers.
I know, like going into this game, the predicted starters were Justin Ross. I think he's a shoe in. I mean, he's already he's a shoe in. You had Frank Latson, who was out for this game. He's injured, and then you had Joseph Nagata. Based on performance, I would honestly say as you played. I mean, he did play. He played better than Nagata, and may have played himself into a starting position potentially because he played phenomenally. But it just shows how much depth Clemson has at wide receiver because you also have Bo Collins behind you, and he's
I'm looking at this guy, Dakari Collins. He had two
yep,
receptions for 48 yards, so that's pretty good.
another one, yeah,
So I think he could be good. I'm looking at some of these running backs. I mean, Phil Maffa had 2 receptions for 4 yards. I think really what hurt, and I understand protect the franchise kind of thing, but I think for both Fomacha and DJ, the ability to not run,
hampered,
both of them are like pretty good runners.
yeah,
I would say both of them are probably better than Trevor Lawrence at running.
yeah,
I don't know
like
about DJ. You could argue they're probably the same, maybe, but I think both of them probably you would make the assumption that they would probably be both better.
yeah,
Then the fact that that was taken away from them, I think really probably killed them.
yeah, because there were several plays where like DJ would literally be past defensive line, but they would just get a hand out and just tap him on the shoulder and they'd blow it dead. And I'd be like, oh, okay, well, he could have gotten at least 5 yards, maybe even more. But just all you have to do is just tap him, and he's down.
Yeah,
So
I'm not here to complain too much, but there was one obvious play in the game, like very early on in the game, where Fomacha made this great pass down the middle of the field, and the refs called it because the guy like tapped him, But he would in a real game scenario, if that would have happened, Fomacha would have escaped the tackle. He wouldn't
exactly,
have attacked him, but the fact that the guy was able to just boop,
yeah,
and so it made it a little more difficult for the quarterback. So I think overall, one could argue that the rules did constrict them, but I understand it. What are you trying to? You're not going out there to prove to anybody that your quarterbacks can run. And probably everybody knows that. And like I said, Fomichal got hurt and they didn't run at all. So, even though that's kind of a Achilles, it's kind of a freak injury,
Yeah.
still you got to protect the franchise. And especially, I know that you alluded to it earlier, but the fact that DJ is the last man standing, Hunter Helms, he didn't look very good at all. I think I'm looking at right now, he had a total of 88 yards passing, one interception. So that, I mean, that's not, I hope they got some talented freshmen or somebody coming in that could back
So
up.
I know they have a somewhat low ranked 4-star quarterback coming in who will be a true freshman. He didn't enroll early, so he didn't play in the spring game like some of these true freshmen. But he'll be an asset probably. I honestly expect Hunter Helms to be the backup. Hunter Helms is not a scholarship player. He does not have a scholarship. DJ is currently the only scholarship quarterback that isn't hurt at Clemson. This other
I,
guy came in, I believe he has a scholarship, so
I remember a time when Clemson had 100 quarterbacks on their roster.
I know, right? Um, but yeah, so Clemson, DJ better not get hurt. If DJ gets hurt, Clemson will
Ship
be
will
in
sink.
trouble this year because he is the last man standing. You
I,
don't have Pomashon backing up anymore.
I don't know this for a fact, I mean, only time will tell. But I think personally that this may be one of Clemson's best overall defensive units that we've ever seen out of them. And we've seen some great ones, especially that defensive line that led them to the national championship when Trevor was the quarterback, all those boys. But I think overall, if you look at the overall production, especially with Nolan Turner and Scalzi, two major parts of last year's team coming back, I think if you look at them, I think this has the potential. Now, I'm not prisoner of the moment. I can
Yeah,
see with my own eyes what's going on. I think overall, this has a great potential to be the greatest defensive outing. I could see an offensive struggling year because I think for Clemson these past couple years, it's always been like the star, right? You've had Travis Etienne, Deshaun Watson, might be a little controversial to say his name, but Trevor Lawrence. And you've had these guys who are able to produce at a high level, and now things have changed. It's not the star, it's even on the wide receiving core, the star talent isn't there like it's usually been.
I don't know. I think I disagree with you there. I mean, DJ's obviously been touted since having great performances against Notre Dame and Boston College. You still have Justin Ross. I mean, all the wide receivers on that roster are 4 and 5-star recruits, so they're good. I would say running back, you're right. They don't have the Travis Etienne or the Wayne Gallman that they used to have. Um, However, I would say this is the deepest Clemson has ever been at running back. And I would
They're
say,
deep.
honestly, I think they have more talent than they've ever had. I mean, there's a, there's even a case that some of the running backs have the potential to be better than an ETN or a Gallman. If not, Dixon's already a good running back. He's proven it. He's been a backup for a couple of years now behind ETN. He's very good. He's not ETN, but he's good. Um, you have Kobe Pace. He proved himself. He's amazing. Maffa, he's a true freshman, and he's beefcake. He's huge. And if you haven't seen, Phil Maffa, a picture of him, he's just muscular beefcake. And then Will Shipley's coming in. Like, you got some really good players. I mean, I think this is Clemson has a very good shot if they can stay healthy to win a national championship. I think we all knew that. And
Yeah.
then the defense, I saw a quote. Apparently, Brent Venables got several texts from writers and coaches saying that after watching the spring game, that this is probably going to be the best defense in the country this upcoming year. So, I mean, it's. I think Clemson's got the star names. You just don't. We just may not know it just yet.
I think where I was coming from with that take is more like a position of these guys still need to prove themselves to me, just like Trevor had to
I
prove
see that.
himself.
Yeah, I can see that.
And I can, DJ did have a good game against Notre Dame, but I just want to see it consistently. I want to see it more frequently. That's more where I'm talking about.
I
Like,
see.
I guess Trevor didn't even start with a star name. You know what I mean? Like he was just Trevor Lawrence. He had to compete with Kelly. I think the difference here is that DJ is the man. Everybody knows he's the man. He's definitely the man now. There's nobody else. There's literally nobody else. So he's the guy now. So I think DJ will become a star. I don't know. We'll see how good he can be. Here's a question for you. I'll throw it at you, just kind of randomly thinking. Do you
Yep.
think he's better or average or close to Deshaun and Trevor? Where do you think he ranks in that list?
So I mean, I only have 2 games of him being a starting quarterback for Clemson, Boston College, and Notre Dame. However,
College was rough. I remember that one. Eesh.
he played well though. He played well.
Yeah,
We
that's true.
Clemson did
Even
not
if
play
it's like,
well. He
woo.
played well. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a quote from Dabo when DJ first got on campus. He said that DJ makes Trevor look normal sometimes, and that's just not something you say. Trevor's #1 overall draft pick. He's considered
Yeah.
like the next Peyton Manning. Like that's huge.
He's one of the first number one overall draft picks since Andrew Luck, at least. That everybody's just like, yeah, this guy. There's no
Exactly.
way. You gotta
Yeah.
be an idiot
You
not to
take
take
it.
it. Jacksonville been like, yeah, we're taking it pretty much. You know what I
Exactly.
mean?
And so when you say that this guy makes the #1 overall draft pick look normal, that proves to me that this guy is something special and this guy is going to do special things. One thing I kind of like to, I've seen parallels in, is that when Trevor came out, he had an instant rival with Justin Fields. Like those were the 2 best quarterbacks going to some of the 2 best programs. Obviously, didn't work out for Justin Fields at Georgia. He went to Ohio State and was amazing. Now you have DJ and Bryce Young. Bryce Young's at Alabama. They both came out of California. It's kind of similar to Trevor and Justin coming out of Georgia. They played each other. They played for state championships. They played for 2 best teams in California, whatever. Now, again, there are 2 best teams in the country. Bryce Young is the starting quarterback at Alabama, or was predicted to be. And it just feels like it's the exact same thing. And the two, like, once in a generational talents just obviously just sprouting up for some reason right next to each other. I think DJ is going to be incredible.
Yeah, I think so too. I think he'll be in that Deshaun Watson category more than he'll be in the Trevor Lawrence category. Um, I felt Deshaun. I don't know. It's just hard to say because that's a tough call. There's just two great three. I mean, Trevor Lawrence had 3 great years at Clemson. I thought, I mean, they made the playoffs all 3 years. They ran into a wrecking ball in LSU. There's nothing you could do about what happened in that game. And then against Ohio State, they just ran into a team that just hated them more than anything else and purely beat them off of their own hate and anguish for Clemson. So I think Trevor's a great quarterback. I still think Deshaun was better.
I think so too.
Um, I do believe that in my heart of hearts.
Yeah,
But
I will say that Trevor made better decisions passing than uh, Deshaun made some very questionable passes a lot, and he had a high number of interceptions. Trevor was the opposite. So but yeah, Deshaun had better.
Deshaun's made a lot of questionable decisions in his time, I would say. Sorry, I can't help myself. But yeah, I agree. I don't think I think he'll be in the upper echelon of Clemson quarterbacks. I don't think he'll be in the Taj Boyd category. I sure hope not. Ugh, that wouldn't be great. Taj Boyd, not a bad quarterback. I do believe he created the foundation that is Clemson today. I don't think he gets enough credit for that. But Clemson is a juggernaut in the ACC, and there's not a lot of teams in the ACC right now. Miami and North Carolina, you could argue, but they're not in our division. Um, so I think you could argue those two teams, but Clemson should win the ACC again.
Yeah,
Like this is their best defensive team. I after watching what I saw the other day, and then believing that even some of the best players weren't even in there, and they might still get more recruits in the summer. I do believe that this is probably the best defensive squad we'll see from Clemson. Especially with Skull seeing them coming back.
yeah.
Obviously. But I'm pretty excited about the future of Clemson football, and I'm excited about DJ, and I think he can be a good quarterback. He really did impress me in that Notre Dame game. If you go back, I believe he had 6 touchdown passes, and
How many you had? That's a good question. Let me pull it
he
up
had a
now.
lot. It's like
Only had 400 yards, which was more than Trevor has ever thrown in his entire career in a single game. Let's see. He had 439 yards, 2 touchdowns,
2 touchdowns. Okay,
and a rushing touchdown. So 3 total touchdowns.
right. But I mean, still though, I mean, he was close. A true freshman
Yeah.
starting on the road at Notre Dame. And I do believe they had fans there. Oh yeah, they definitely did because they rushed the
They
field.
were
I remember that. And so they had fans there. So
backup receivers.
backup receivers. Yeah, exactly. Justin Ross, I believe, was out.
Yep.
Um, you
And
know,
Agata and Ladson.
so I mean, overall, I mean, you look at the team. I mean, he still was able to produce 430 yards. I think that's a big accomplishment for him. And I'm excited about this running back room.
Yeah.
It's absolutely packed.
Packed.
Lynn J. Dixon, I still do believe he's going to be really good. I have a lot of confidence in
I
him.
think he'll be the starter. It's just picking the backup is going to be so hard.
I feel like I feel like if you say Phil Moffa's the big boy, you could put him in more goal line situations.
Yeah.
You could say Kobe Pace, you could put him in more open field situations.
I would put Lin J in open field though. I wouldn't.
I mean, yeah, but there's opportunities to play both. You know what I mean? Like there's just
And
situations.
Shipley's an all-purpose back, so he can line up and as a receiver. He can. I mean, he can do it all.
I
So
feel like Will Shipley and maybe Michael Dukes and the rest of them probably they'll bide their time.
we'll see him on the kicking team. I'm sure.
Yeah, exactly. You'll see. They'll bide their time. Knows in a couple of years, Will Shipley will probably be the guy. And
Yeah.
I just wonder if that running back room, if there's like a Travis Etienne. I don't know if you remember this, but when Travis Etienne, he was a backup
Yep.
when he first started.
He was
So
not a highly touted recruit either. He was like,
that's what I'm saying. So I wonder if there's another Travis Etienne or Wayne Gallman in this room that we just because I feel like Lynn J. Dixon is a good player,
yeah,
but he doesn't. I don't think he's as good as those two that I just
yeah.
mentioned. Wayne Gallman. I think he's a really good. I just wonder in this little running back room we've got here
I'd
that
say Cody Pace.
you'd say Kobe Base.
He wasn't really touted until the spring game, and now he's just blown up.
So yeah, and then I heard Dabo did say he had a good couple of practices right before we got going during the game. And I think the offensive line, like you mentioned, I do believe there was a couple offensive line starters out.
Yeah,
So
and one thing I do want to note about the offensive line is they literally split the starters between the two teams. So half the starters are on one team and half the starters are on the other. So you really don't get a full picture of how good the team is because I mean you got starters, backup, starters, backup. So it's like it's not the full picture.
right, and I think that's an important point to make. First of all, you don't want to blow your whole scouting. I mean, whole you don't want to give teams the whole picture of what you got
Yeah,
going on.
exactly.
That wouldn't be smart. And then you don't want to open up the playbook. You didn't have the quarterbacks rushing. I mean, the spring game, it's fun. A lot of fans were there. I was pretty happy to see that. And there's people there, they're enjoying the game or whatever. But I think overall, if you look at everything that's went on, I mean, it was a pretty tame game. It wasn't anything that was just too overwhelmingly exciting. And I think that the white teams come back.
That
I
was
feel
fun.
bad. I really feel bad for Fomachaw. Devastating injury for him. I feel really I feel really upset for him. I felt like, he had a lot of good things going for him, especially, you know, in that second half when he kind of staged a comeback.
Yeah.
So I was pretty happy for him, but I'm devastated that he got hurt. Even with the insane rules that they had. But
It was non-contact.
and another point I really wanted to make up, I bring up real fast before we end the episode is Will Spires, great punter. He had 3 punts inside the 30, three inside the 20. I mean, he had one touchback, 3 punts inside the 30, and his longest kick was 47 yards. So I thought that was really cool. I thought it was good for him. I think he's going to be really good. Really, really,
So
really good as a punter. I'm not a big punter guy, but
our kicker hit a 54-yard field goal too, so that's pretty impressive.
yeah, I'm looking at it right now. BT Potter had a 54 yarder with 31 seconds left to go in the second quarter. And then he also hit a 24-yarder easy.
Yeah.
And this guy named Jonathan Whites, he missed a 47-yard field goal. Kind of a tough field goal to make, especially for somebody who maybe not be maybe it's not the best kicker in the world, but they need to find somebody to replace BT Potter. He's been there for 100 years. Yeah,
We'll
man.
start the soccer team.
Yeah, Will Spires and BT Potter been there for 1,000 years.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it feels like I've been saying here in Will Spires. I remember when Will Spires was getting cussed out by Dabo on the sidelines. Or I was BT Potter, I think, actually. He was the kicker. Yeah, well, BT Potter was the one getting cussed out. I'm old enough to remember that kind of stuff. But yeah, I was like I said, it was a pretty cool spring game, pretty cool situation for Clemson. So Ryan, anything else in the spring game you want to bring up?
No, just I mean, it wasn't the most exciting spring game, but I do think it showed that our offense has a lot of promise. I think our defense played incredible, and overall, I think the team is exceptionally good. The only thing that may hurt us from this is just that we don't have a backup quarterback. If DJ gets hurt, we're screwed. We're screwed.
Not great.
Our first game is Georgia.
Yeah. So that's the end of the Clemson spring game recap. I think we did a great job at that. Really, I mean, a fun time to be a football fan. We got some spring games coming up. I think Oklahoma wins Oklahoma's spring game. Is it coming up?
I know it's this month. I think it's the 24th. Wrote it down somewhere.
So we're going to cover that Arkansas spring game 2021. I'll look it up right now. Google will tell me.
I think it's 24th as well, if I remember right.
The 17th, April 17th.
Something else.
So it'll be on the 17th. So we got Arkansas spring game on the 17th. We've got Oklahoma, so we're going to be covering them. South Carolina spring game. Probably going to talk about that after our South Carolina episode. I'm going to look that up real fast. Do they have enough people on the team?
They're doing one.
Okay, 2021. I'll look that up real fast. So we're going to be covering all these games. Wait, what? Oh, no. I thought it was March. It said March 29th. I was like, excuse me? April 24th, same day as Oklahoma. So that's probably what we're talking about. That's probably what we're going to be talking about there. I wouldn't mind looking at Alabama spring game. April 17th, same day as Arkansas. So we might cover that too. I would be kind of interested in watching that. And what we might do is instead of doing a full spring game episode for Alabama, maybe we'll look at Ole Miss or Missouri. We'll throw them in there. Yeah. Anybody, if you're interested in a team, let us know.
Like that.
Yeah, if you want to hear about a specific team, let us know. We'll bring them up. We'll talk about them. We might talk about LSU, Georgia. I definitely think we might speak on Georgia.
Probably speak on Georgia.
Texas would be one I'd be interested in. USC. I don't even know if they do spring football. Do they do spring football out there in California? I don't think they believe in that.
Well,
I don't think they believe in
football. Let's see. If they do, it probably won't be anyone there. Yeah, I don't know if they actually do one. Maybe we can look at Oregon or something.
Yeah, Oregon.
Yeah, Oregon's probably more interesting anyway.
So, we'll be talking about all of those. So Georgia will be on North Carolina, might do one of North Carolina. I'm interested in that. So we probably won't do full episodes on these teams, but we'll definitely have probably full episodes in South Carolina, Oklahoma, Arkansas. And look out for just a compilation video on maybe some other ones just hitting on what we think is interesting, or maybe I'll do Alabama and Ryan could do LSU, and then I could do Ole Miss and he could do Georgia, and then we can just trade back and forth and kind of roll with that. But that's kind of the end of the episode. So I just want to keep on looking out for what's coming in the future. March Madness is over. March Madness from the episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Released Friday. We thought it was pretty good when we released it. So hope you enjoyed that episode. This will be coming out Monday. So look out for this episode. I'm pretty excited for that. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. And is that it, Ryan? Anything else?
I think that's it.
All right, go Tigers. All right, Ryan. This is what special thing I saved for the end of the episode. So we're gonna do it together, okay? We're gonna do a CLEM. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
All right, 1, 2, 3. CLEMSONTIGERS. Fight, Tigers, fight, Tigers, fight. Woo! Do you do the woo, Ryan? Do you believe in the woo? You know, they were trying
I
to
believe in the woo. I'm not a woo person.
I am a woo guy.
I mean, you're an Arkansas fan. You're a woo person.
Woo! Yeah, that's true. All right, well, that's it, y'all. Thanks for watching. Bye.